Oh, brother, here we go again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So, today's video, we have a little bit of a weird one, a bit of a scandal, if you will. Fake remarks being sold again on eBay, or at least that would be kind of the worst version of what this story actually is. Maybe the best version of what it could possibly be is that we just have people that are really disingenuously framing the products that they have for sale. But I don't know, it feels kind of scandalous no matter what it ends up actually being. And we're going to talk about it in this video here today and ultimately ask ourselves the question, is this why we can't have nice things? Is this why remarks are always made to be bought in person from the artist? Well, maybe by the end of the video, you're going to feel that that is what they're made for. But of course, before I get into it, if you guys could like, comment, subscribe, I appreciate it. Helps support the channel doing those things. But there you guys see it. TMNT Armageddon Johnny Desjardins Virgin Variant NYCC 2022 signed Remark COA. Now, if you guys are somebody out there who is a fan of this incredible artist and a fan of TMNT, you guys would think to yourself, wow, cool. What a great opportunity to buy a very cool Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic cover with some very special signatures and remarks on it. But what if I were to tell you that the remarks are not actually done by the artist? Well, I'm here to tell you just that. In fact, let me rewind the clock a little bit to this one right here. You guys remember this that happened a few months back? These Battle Beast covers were coming out, and there was like a bit of a community alert that Ryan Ottley was having fake sketches being done in his name for when we had the blind bags and Battle Beasts, and it was just really crazy that people were kind of pawning off, fake art by him, and it was one of those things where even Ryan Ottley was someone who kind of put this forward and saying that this stuff, you should look out for this and you shouldn't be buying this stuff because it's not really supporting the work, and it's it's something that he has a brand. He has to protect his own creativity and his own style of art and stuff. So when you have people faking stuff, it's obviously a bad thing and it's obviously a scam. Now, shout out to Phil from Vintage Comics and Toys and Luke.comic, who are some of the people that initially brought the story to the limelight, and also are the ones that made me aware of what is currently going on. But this was the backstory, and this was being sold by an account called Hobby Heaven. Now we flash forward to what we have today, where we have a new account called Hobby Headquarters. Coincidence? Possibly. I don't know. And they had this listing here. Invincible #1 convention exclusive Spatter Sig by Ryan Ottley COA remarked. Now, see how it's like the clever framing there where it's Spatter Sig by Ryan Ottley COA remarked? I mean, if I'm going to look at that at a glance, I would interpret that as, okay, this is a Ryan Ottley signed comic that also has a remark that he did. Except that's not really what we're looking at here. In fact, if you actually zoom into the remark, it says after Ottley right down there. And if you go down to the description and you read the fine print, it actually says the included remark was done by myself after Ottley. I'm very much an amateur artist, so I hope I did his amazing artwork some justice by giving it a go. Now, is it illegal to add a remark right under Ryan Ottley's signature that is sort of done in his kind of, style and is sort of like a wink, wink, like framing of, hey, it's a signature by Ryan Ottley with a COA and it's remarked, but not by him? Isn't it a little bit disingenuous to kind of play it off like this is a real Ryan Ottley done thing? I mean, I suppose you can make the argument that they put it in the description. They didn't say that Ryan Ottley did it, although I would say that that's kind of just a weird way to go about selling your products. And now that kind of brings us back to this first comic right here, which we did a little bit of detective work, a little bit of investigating, and we reached out to Johnny, and he actually confirmed that this was not his remark, which is so odd. The same seller kind of claiming down here, signed and remarked by cover artist Johnny Desjardins. So what is it really here? You have the artists themselves calling out these signatures, and, you have this history of this seller, pawning off Ryan Ottley stuff. And then when you go over to their store, you see all these books that they have for sale. Every single one of them is either signed or has a remark on it, or, it definitely has some sort of artist touch on the comic book. And none of them actually are slabbed. None of them are JSA authenticated or, signature series at CGC. They're all raw comics with these signed things on it. And you just have to wonder. And when you go to what the store is actually sold, well, he he actually did get a sale. I mean, I sure do hope that the buyer is happy with that one. I mean, maybe they should have got it graded, because when I go over to the seller's feedback and I go down to one of the neutral comments that they got, this person had this to say: got rejected at authentication guarantee for fake autograph. Seller said it was a consignment card and had no knowledge of it. Card was returned and I was refunded. No harm, no foul. No harm, no foul. I mean, man, if there was only some kind of company that could do these authentication services to make sure that what we are buying is actually the thing that we are hoping to buy. Nah, that can't exist. That'll totally be a scam as well. Anyways, you have this one here: Absolute Batman #2, cover by Dragotta, remarked by Snyder and signed. I mean, I'm not saying that that's not remarked by Snyder and signed by him, but you never really know. And then you have this Todd McFarlane signature right here. You have this Do You Poo with a Kevin Eastman right there. You have the Spawn book with a Violator remark on it. And you just have to kind of call into question of if any of these are actually real. And I guess that's really the main takeaway from the whole conversation here that we're having in this video, is like less about the seller and more about behaviors of buyers. And if you're somebody out there that is looking to pick up raw signed books, or you're looking to grab remarks and things of that nature, I mean, you got to be a little bit careful, right? You got to be careful with this stuff. You got to know who you're buying it from, and you have to make sure that this is actually stuff that was done by the artist, or you got to actually read the fine print. And with all of the stuff going on in the art market right now, and how much money is being thrown around by people buying original pieces of art, or people getting very expensive commissions done and things of that nature, like, I understand the desire of wanting to have a lot of these collectibles. I understand wanting to pick up something that is kind of a one of one thing, and that's what remarks are. They are sort of a special one of one creation. But I do think that there is something to the element of having that interaction with the artist themselves, making sure that the money that you pay goes to that artist. I think it's going to feel a little bit better if you're somebody who wants to collect it, or you're somebody who's a fan of that work. So in my opinion, I think that this is just we can't have nice things. You can't buy this stuff on eBay unless you know for sure that this is something that was created by the artist. I mean, if you get it from them directly, I think you can trust them. If you buy it off of a live stream, you're on Whatnot or you're on eBay Live and they're doing live sketches and things like that, then you can trust that what you're getting is actually from them, because you literally watched them do it. So I kind of feel like this is one of those situations where you got to be careful with all of the shenanigans that are going on with sellers out there. And let me be extremely charitable here. Maybe this dealer is just somebody who happened to buy a collection and they ended up getting this comic book and they're just selling it. They're just the dealer. They're just the middleman. Okay, that's a possibility. But even if that's the case, there has to be a little bit of a responsibility there. You have to protect your customers for themselves. Or if you're not sure if it's actually real, then you probably should just sell it for the same price that it would sell for anyways, and not put a premium on it. I mean, if we're looking at, what Ryan Ottley's signature goes for on this book, here's a listing that just has Ryan Ottley, Invincible 1, signed by him, the convention exclusive, being advertised for $300. But then when you have the splatter signature, which admittedly is cooler, maybe Ryan actually did that, but then you also are adding in a remark that you did, that you acknowledge that you added it after him, and then you're listing it at $600. I mean, that's a pretty decent premium. I mean, if you can command $300 for your own remark, I mean, you may not have to be an eBay seller selling comic books. Maybe you should be on the convention floor yourself. And maybe you'd be better served making art than you would disingenuously selling to comic book collectors. At least that's my opinion. I mean, maybe you have a bright career in front of you for your comic book art. Anyways, speaking of comic book art, before I wrap up the video, I thought that we can end it on a positive note, something that's really interesting. I went over to Comic Art Fans, just decided to see what are some of the, recent crazy sales going on in the art world. And did you guys see this? Did you catch wind of this? The Batman 1 cover by Jorge Jimenez, the one that was done for the Batman #1 for the new Matt Fraction run, sold for $90,000. The original artwork of that cover. Unbelievable. And then this one right here, the Absolute Batman #9, done by Nick Dragotta, selling for $100,000. I mean, $90,000, $100,000 for modern comic art? That is amazing. That's incredible. And I think that's why we have an entire ecosystem of people now doing fake remarks and fake sketches and all of this sort of stuff, because look at the money that's being created out there. $800, $675, $650, $611 for the Mark Spears one, $620, $599. I mean, there's a lot of money in the art world, and you got to be very, very careful with what you buy, including TMNT, Armageddon's, NYCC 2022, signed remarked COA exclusives. Anyways, that's all for this video. What do you guys think about all this mess? Is this one of those things where it's a kind of just a mistake? Maybe there's been some confusion here. Or do you think that this is an unscrupulous seller? Let me know what you guys think. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Be careful out there when you're buying this stuff. Go get it done in person. It's more fun that way. Or at least do it on a live stream. Anyways, that's all for this one. Like, comment, subscribe. See y'all in the next video.